The 2025 NHL free agency was one of the most boring of all time, but nonetheless, we are going to go ahead with updated rosters and we are going to be simulating the 25-26 NHL season to see who wins free agency and who ultimately loses in free agency. Starting off with the Ducks, who made a lot of moves. They signed a head coach in Joe Quenneville. They signed Mikael Granlund to a pretty big contract at $5 million or $7 million. The Boston Bruins, I don't know what they were thinking. They took on the contract of Victor Arvidsson. I believe they also signed Tanner Jeannot, who's like a 79 overall, to a pretty hefty contract at $3.4 million. They are in a really weird spot where they're not going to compete for a Stanley Cup, but they have some all-star talent on their team. Like David Pastrnak is all-world. The dude's a 94 overall, can score like 50, 60 goals a season. The Hurricanes, 3 days into free agency, signed Nikolai Ehlers to a pretty hefty contract at $8.5 million. Now, he's a good player at an 88 overall. I know the cap's going to explode, but I don't know. I feel like that's a little bit of an overpay in my opinion, but Carolina did some working. They picked up Keandre Miller. He's on the squad as well. He's only young at 24 years of age. They got Logan Stankoven. Like, for a team that's been battling for a Stanley Cup for the last like 4 years, they've made a lot of changes to get over the hump and they have yet to do it. So maybe this is the season. I feel bad for Bedsy, man. I really do. The biggest signing that Chicago did in the offseason was getting Andre Burakovsky at an 83 overall. He's a decent player, can be a winger for Bedsy, but he's still most likely going to be surrounded by bums. The biggest move for the Edmonton Oilers was signing Evan Bouchard on a 4-year contract at $10.5 million. Outside of that, didn't make too many moves. We offloaded contracts like Evander Kane and Victor Arvidsson to clear up cap space to sign Evan Bouchard. And we also lost Connor Brown and Corey Perry. But we picked up Mangiapane, who I'm very excited to see how he works out in our top six. He's a speedy guy. He's got a ton of skill. 83 overall at 28 years of age at $3.6 million. Not a bad contract. I don't know how Bill Zito keeps getting away with it, but the man re-signed everybody. Brought back Marchand, brought back Aaron Ekblad, and the Conn Smythe winner in Sam Bennett at an 86 overall. He can't keep getting away with this. Ken Holland joined the LA Kings and immediately tanked their franchise. I don't know what this man was thinking. He got rid of Gavrikov, which was questionable. Andrei Kuzmenko for $4.3 million. He signs Brian Dumoulin at $4 million. Cody Ceci at $4.5. They signed Corey Perry on a pretty hefty contract too. I have no idea what Ken Holland was smoking in the offseason, but man, hand that over to me. The Canadiens actually made a big splash trading for a defenseman, Noah Dobson, 88 overall, still very young at 24 years of age, and they got a young D-core now that's going to be good for a very long time. A very bright future in Le Montreal. A very questionable decision by the New York Rangers to sign Gavrikov at essentially the same contract that Keandre Miller got signed to, but Gavrikov's 28 years old while Keandre is only 24. Don't know what they were thinking there. They literally signed an older defenseman. Maybe they're just going all in now. I don't think Gavrikov is that much better than Keandre Miller, and moving forward, Miller's got a lot of room to grow. He's only 24 years of age. Philly got the Michigan man himself in Trevor Zegras, traded for him, so he's now reunited with his best bud in Jamie Drysdale on the Flyers. San Jose just had cap space to spend, so they went out and signed John Klingberg for $4 million. This man got paid for his playoff run. The Seattle Kraken picked up an 86 overall Mason Marchment from the Dallas Stars. Can't even lie, the Utah Hockey Club are looking scary. JJ Peckturka, 86 overall, only 22 years of age, and he is now a part of the Utah Mammoth. Surprisingly, Brock Besser actually re-signed in Vancouver. I thought there was no shot this man was staying. I was a little bit delusional, wishful thinking, hoping he would come to Edmonton, but he re-signed in Vancouver at $7.2 million. And now the biggest splash of the offseason, Mitch Marner going to the Vegas Golden Knights. 93 overall. He signed for $12 million in a sign-in trade to the Golden Knights. And now Vegas loaded up for the next season after getting dummied by the Oilers. But the bad news is they've traded for a historic playoff choker. Now, can he turn around that narrative like many other prior Leafs? Phil Kessel, Tyler Bozak, Nazem Kadri. You see all these guys leave Toronto and win a Stanley Cup. Is Marner the next guy on that list? And now it is time to find out who's going to win Lord Stanley. A full season sim in NHL 25, a way too early prediction for the next season in the National Hockey League. So at the end of the 2025-26 season, the New Jersey Devils, they went off in the sim, 58-22-2, 118 points. They won the President's Trophy, damn near winning 60 games, and nobody was close. We have the Oilers in second place at 47, Winnipeg had 49, Minnesota with 40, 45, Seattle 46. The Rangers were in the top 6. And at the bottom, there it is, Ken Holland. You absolutely destroyed the LA Kings, and they are now the worst team in the NHL. Nashville was bad, and oh my God, the Vegas Golden Knights. No way. They traded for Mitch Marner, and they ended up finishing bottom 3 in the NHL. What on earth? The Toronto faithful would be absolutely cheering in the streets if this happened in real life. McDavid will win his 6th Art Ross trophy in his NHL career, leading the regular season in points with 116. Jack Hughes broke out this season for 115. Matthews had 107. Leon Draisaitl with 106. Jesper Bratt with a 100-point season, the very first of his National Hockey League career. We got Reinhart and Barkov up there, as well as Matthew Tkachuk. They probably played together on that top line. On the goal side, Nathan MacKinnon will lead the way with 54 tucks. We got Jack Hughes, who had 52. His high-scoring season by far. A career high for the Devils and a career high for their best player in Jack Hughes. Matthews and Kyle Connor will both have 50-goal campaigns. Kirill Kaprizov at 48. Draisaitl and McDavid with 47 and 45 apiece. For the defenseman, Adam Fox, comeback year perhaps. 83 points led the way for defenseman. Hughes at 82. Yossi with 67. Cale Makar, oh my God. Only 3 goals and 58 apples. A very down season for the best defenseman in the NHL. Goaltending-wise, Jacob Markstrom will have the most wins at 47, and the most shutouts will go to Samuel Montembeault from Montreal with 6. And here are our playoff matchups for the postseason of the 2026 Stanley Cup playoffs. Are we really that surprised to see the Toronto Maple Leafs in a Game 7 scenario once again? Carolina, Toronto, round 1, Game 7. First period, 2-0 leads. 2-0 lead. Nicholas Robertson and Matt Nye. Second period, Carolina's going to tie it up. All right, we got ourselves a game. And then Jack Roslovic on Anthony Stolarz. But John Tavares took the pay cut, and he ties the game up at 3. The Leafs are not out of it yet. A tie game, all knotted up at 3. Shots are 36-25 for the Maple Frauds, but right now they're struggling to find the back of the net. But John Tavares on the power play will do it. 22 seconds remain in the third period of a Game 7 where the Leafs could actually win the first Game 7 victory in the Matthews era. I can't even call it the Marner era anymore. He's no longer with us. Scott Laughton has an empty net to shoot at. Laughton coming in, tries to fire it. He hits it a little bit wide, though. John Walker, you got 10 seconds to go. Nice forecheck by Max Domi, slowing down the Carolina Hurricanes. Nicholas Waugh will seal the deal with the empty netter. Who needs Mitch Marner? Seattle and Vancouver are also going to war in their first round playoff matchup. We got a Game 7 on our hands here, and the Kraken up 3-1 in the third period. They will dominate Vancouver and move on to the second round. We now move on to the second round where we got the matchups of Winnipeg and Dallas yet again. Edmonton and Seattle, low-key's kind of fire. Toronto and Florida, and then the Devils versus the Rangers. Pretty much the only competitive series of the second round has been the Devils and the Rangers. New York holding on to a 3-2 series lead here in game number 6, trying to advance to the conference finals. And they got a 1-0 lead entering the third period, all thanks to Vinny Trocheck. Getting outshot, though, 28-22. The Devils pressuring right now. They're on the power play. Can they get one? They do not get a goal. Igor Shesterkin shutting the door here in Game 6. New York is 4 minutes away from a conference finals berth. The New Jersey Devils have mustered up 44 shots on goal and have yet to beat Igor Shesterkin in an elimination game. They're pulling their goalie. They're going for broke. Can the New York Rangers hold on and go back to the conference finals? Their third cup finals, or not cup final, conference finals. Oh my God, how did you miss that wide open net? Is that Matt Rempe? Am I seeing Matt Rempe out there in an elimination game with 20 seconds to go? Paul Cotter entering the zone. It's not over there. Oh, in the middle. How did that not go in? I think it got blocked out in front. Brunzinski, he's trying to get it out. Paris in the fourth line of the Rangers are out here right now, getting trapped in their own zone. Vanaken, get it out, buddy. 5 seconds to go. Nice turnover. Thomas Tatar. Hamilton keeps it in. Rebound. Oh my God, how did that not go in? And the New York Rangers somehow, some way, save off of that onslaught from the New Jersey Devils and Igor Shesterkin shutout. And they are going back to the conference finals. 22, 24, and now 26. Every 2 seasons, New York is there. And then there were 4, Winnipeg and Seattle, New York and Toronto, who will be advancing to the Stanley Cup Finals in 2026. Even with losing Nikolai Ehlers, Winnipeg can still go to the Stanley Cup Finals. Up 3-1 over Seattle in a Game 5 on home ice. Or playoff hellebuck. I mean, 3 goals on 14 shots. What are we doing here? The man is struggling to keep that puck out of the net, and the Winnipeg Jets are struggling to tie this game up. Power play for Seattle. Do they get anything on it? A long-ass power play, and there it is. Jordan Eberle pretty much will seal the deal on this game as there will be a game number 6. Another shot for Winnipeg to head to the Stanley Cup Finals. First period, 2-0 lead. Velarde and Nino Niederreiter. Second period, 3-0 lead as playoff Hellebuyck has to pitch a shutout here in the third. He cannot collapse. I don't think he's going to collapse now. It's a 5-0 dominating win for Winnipeg. As in 6 games, they're going to make pretty easy work, I'm not going to lie, of the Seattle Kraken after shutting them out 6-0. And Jonathan Toews, even he chips in game 6. The Rangers be like, hold up, let me copy your homework. They are up 3-2 and trying to do the same exact thing that the Winnipeg Jets just did. But the matter of fact is they are down 3-0 in the third. Nylander, Tavares, and Matthews, the new big 3 in Toronto. Mitch Marner no longer a part of that. They get a 3-0 lead, but they do not have a 94 overall netminder. It's Anthony Stolarz, so a potential comeback could be on the horizon here. Alex Lafreniere got the lone goal for the Rangers. Laffy the bust, but it doesn't matter. The Toronto Maple Leafs have forced a Game 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals. Winnipeg is awaiting the winner of these two teams. Game 7, do or die, winner take all. First period, 1-1 tie. Matias Maselli and Brodzinski. Second period, Toronto. It will be the captain giving them the lead, up by 1. Shots are 27-22, and then Matthews extends the lead on the power play, but DJ Zibanejad, he answers the bell right away and is straight back to a 1-goal game. John Tavares, oh my god, DJ Zibanejad carrying the Rangers right now, basically single-handedly keeping them in this hockey game. 4 minutes to spare in the third period, and the Rangers are down by 1. Can they come back, claw their way back, and force overtime? Borgren. Why do we have our fourth line starting out here on the ice? There we go. The man keeping the Rangers in this hockey game has been none other than DJ Zibanejad. What a save there by Stolarz. Will Cooley to Zibanejad again. But Stoli is all over that puck. 1:45 left to go. Matias Maselli into the zone, trying to put a backhander on net. Doesn't get it to go, though. Back to the blue line. Morgan Riley coughs it up the middle. But Bozzetta is there. Down low to Riley. It squirts out free, and here come the Rangers. Get that top line out there. Will Cooley entering the zone. Centers it to absolutely nobody. Vinny Trocheck from the Rockstar zone. Stolarz is going to make an easy save. Trocheck again cannot do it. Less than 40 seconds to go in Game 7 of the conference finals. The Toronto Maple Leafs trying to advance to play Winnipeg. An all-Canadian Cup final is on the horizon, potentially. Horrible turnover. Absolutely horrific turnover, but this first line has no energy. It's the second line. It's not even the top line. Where are they going? Michael Pezzetta, 19 seconds to go. They're going for a change now? I think it's too little too late for the New York Rangers. They're struggling to find the back of the net. They can't even get it out of their own zone. 5 seconds to go. One final rush, and the New York Rangers ice the puck. 3.4 seconds to go, and that will pretty much do it, as the Toronto Maple Leafs will have a shot to play for the Stanley Cup against the Winnipeg Jets in 2026. Here we go. Game 1 of an all-Canadian Stanley Cup Finals. First period, 2-0 lead for Winnipeg. They cut it in half. Nick Robertson in the second, but in the third, the Winnipeg Jets will score 2. Neil Pionk gets an empty netter, and Winnipeg will take Game 1. The Jets will have home ice. They had the higher seed in the NHL. First period, 2-0 lead yet again. Perfetti and Miller. Second period, Toronto's going to cut it in half, and they're going to tie it up heading to overtime. But it is Sandberg on Stolarz that'll give the Winnipeg Jets a 2-0 series lead. I'm going to say it right now. This is a must-win for the Maple Leafs. Game 3 on home ice. They got to win this game. Entering the third, they're holding on to a 1-goal lead. A little bit of a higher scoring affair. Toronto has 29 shots to Winnipeg's 21. But Mark Scheifele will tie the game up. Winnipeg, it ain't going away. They're just not going away. They're going nowhere. But neither is Tommy Matthews, extending and giving the lead back to Toronto. Late stages of the third period. Can Stolarz shut the door? Unfortunately, he cannot. An overtime yet again for the Maple Leafs and the Toronto Maple Leafs in game number 3. And there it is. Jonathan Toews for the Winnipeg Jets. And all of a sudden, the Maple Leafs could be getting swept in the Stanley Cup Finals. Cup in the building. Here we go. First period, a 4-3 lead for Winnipeg as the goaltenders decided to take off game number 4. It is a 6-4 lead for the Jets here in the third period. They got a multi-goal advantage. I mean, Toronto's really going to have to cook here. They already scored 4, and yet they're down by 2. Getting outshot, getting outscored, and nobody has scored a single goal here in the third period as Winnipeg on the verge of sweeping the Toronto Maple Leafs. Alex Iafallo makes it a 3-goal game, but Nick Robertson cuts it back down to 2. 1:45 left to go in the third. Winnipeg holding on to a 2-goal lead. And the Stanley Cup now is 1 minute away from being introduced on the home ice of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Here we go. Austin Matthews. He's entering the zone. Tomiak getting stopped. Wow. Dixie DeMelio just straight up stripped Austin Matthews from the puck. DeMelio is in the zone. Over to Gustav Nyquist, but Stolars will flash the leather. 38 seconds to spare here in the third period. Toronto's going to win that draw. They're going to have to pull their goalie pretty shortly here. I mean, they're down by 2. They need goals and in a hurry. Tavares takes his shot, but Hellebuck is going to save that puck. 30 seconds to spare in the third period. The Winnipeg Jets, they are 25 seconds away from being Stanley Cup champions for the first time in franchise history. Scheifele walks down Main Street. But again, Stolars is going to make the save. Chris Tanev's going to skate that puck out. Nicholas Robertson up for the Toronto Maple Leafs. You know what? Pull the goaltender. 13 seconds to go. One final rush for the Toronto Maple Leafs as they make it to the Cup Finals for the first time since 1967, even without Mitch Marner. But unfortunately, they're not going to be able to raise the Stanley Cup as the Winnipeg Jets will steal it. A 4-game sweep in the Cup Finals. Just clearly the better team. Even with losing Nikolai Ehlers, they dominated their way to the Cup Finals. I mean, maybe Gustav Nyquist was a signing they needed. Maybe Captain Sirius led this team with his leadership skills, and all of a sudden, the Winnipeg Jets, for the first time ever, are Stanley Cup champions. No longer a poverty hockey team. And in 2026, the Cup is headed back to Canada. Kyle Connor is going to win the Conn Smythe. 18 goals and 31 points for the kid, as that is probably one of, if not maybe the best playoff run in NHL history. 18 goals in this era of the NHL is very tough to come by, especially in the playoffs. We are going to see the captain, Adam Lowry. I should have made Jonathan Toews the captain. The worst captain in the National Hockey League is a Stanley Cup champion, so maybe he's no longer the worst captain. Regardless, Winnipeg in 2026 are your Stanley Cup champions. Matthews actually performed in the postseason. That was probably the reason why they went so far. 13 goals, 32 points in 23 games. Kyle Connor had 18 goals, though, so he outscored Tomiak Matthews. Mark Scheifele was solid with 28. Josh Morrissey from the back end generated a lot of offense. Max Domi was damn near point per game for the Maple Leafs, although he was a -8. Tavares was good with 10 and 10. Connor McDavid's going to win the Ted Lindsay, Art Ross, and Hart Trophy. Mac Daddy with the Maurice Richard. Norris to Adam Fox for the second time in his career. Kyle Connor is going to take home the Conn Smythe, Markstrom the Vezina, and the Selke to Sidney Crosby. Well, that is going to do it for this video. If you guys did enjoy it, make sure you leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. I would like to say thank you all for watching, and until next time, don't be silly. Wrap your willy.